You ready?
All right, it's 7:03. I'm calling this meeting to order. Ms. Nazare, can you go ahead with roll call?
Okay. Okay, so President Bell,
Here.
Senator Brown, Senator Burnett, Senator Shawnee, Senator Cooper, Senator Davis, Senator Ernest, Treasurer Kiana, here. Senator Genesis, Senator Rachel Gaines, Senator Chad, Senator Jean, Senator Johnson, here. Senator Harvey,
Here.
Senator Armando, Senator Jada Hart, Senator Jasmine Rayner, Senator Precious Riggins, Senator Riggins, Senator Smith, Senator Young.
She's gonna let us know if we got quarantine or people. I just gave her the people who are virtually on our live stream. So straight into our officer reports. I'm gonna go myself first. As of right now, we're looking for some people to be a part of the SVAB meeting, which is basically about student fees, budgeting here around campus. So anybody that's interested in maybe joining the SVAB meeting, I'm not sure if it's virtual or in person, but if anyone is willing to attend, we do have open slots for some of the senators interested for joining. And that does go for those who are also on live. If you're interested in joining, just shoot us an email, and I will more than likely invite you to join the meeting. Once you're signed up, it will become a meeting that you will have to attend. So make sure that you will be available. I'll send you guys the email about that a little later. Next on my report, I have two guest speakers that I do want to bring up and allow to present. One of those is our Chief of Police, Chief of Public Safety here at Clayton State, Chief Antonio Long. And we also have another guest speaker, Nicholas Collins. He will teach you guys the parliamentary procedures, which is basically how to conduct the SGA meeting. I have nothing further to say, so I'm going to go ahead and let Chief Long come up and speak to you guys.
Hey, how's everybody doing today?
Good.
All right, I need to behind the podium. Okay. All right. I hate I have to come to you under these circumstances, but I'm always excited to come and speak to the Student Government Association. A lot of the faces I do recognize. Mr. President, thank you for the invite. Dean Jacob, always a pleasure to come. I want to make sure that you all understand anytime you need me, I'm here for you. Part of my job being to help serve you all. I can tell you it has been a busy few days, and my team has been working tirelessly trying to get to the conclusion of this. There's some things I'm not able to share at the moment because it is an active investigation. I will tell you, I'll start with our student, that our student is okay. He's doing the best he can do considering the circumstances. We did have a student that was struck by a bullet on Saturday around 10:30 in the morning inside of the Laker Hall residence. There was 4 males that do not have any association directly with Clayton State. In other words, they're not students, and they fled the scene. We have been working tirelessly since then, trying to figure out why, who, where, and what made them do this. Our student is okay. I've talked to his mom. I've been in touch with his mom, and he's ready to come home out of the hospital. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers so that he gets a full and speedy recovery. In terms of Laker Hall, there's some things that we are working with Laker Hall staff. We have a few officers over there now, increasing our patrols. The incident, as tragic as it sounds, there is no ongoing threat. It's kind of targeted to that specific situation. That is the reason why we put out the all clear and no ongoing threat. And we knew that they had fled the scene. And so right now we are working with the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, the Sheriff's Office, and they have worked with us tirelessly. The Sheriff Hill kept 2 deputies over here in addition to us quite a while on Saturday, at least until almost 11 and 12 from that morning. We had some officers over here, and we probably put in a total of, I don't know how much sleep we've gotten since Saturday afternoon, and we're not going to rest too much until we find the people that are responsible for this tragic event. There are some things that will start to come out from our marketing column, just kind of updating you the first day or so. It is chaotic with the number of calls that we get through our dispatch center, with us trying to sort out information. It's always a challenge trying to balance what you release, what is factual versus what is actual reality. But I do want you to know that anytime the SGA needs me, and I haven't not reached out to you, feel free to reach out to me, come by and see me. And if you don't have, I'll make sure I send over my number, my contact information, so that you all can reach out and touch me personally, because that's what we're here for. And if you can't get me, there's somebody that's better than I am, cooler than I am. That's that person sitting back there, Major Evans. She's our first female major in the history of Clayton State University. Can we give her a round of applause? And I hate to admit, she is a little cooler than I am. But if you can't get me, reach out to Major Evans. And when I'm not here, she speaks on my behalf. And if we can't get it done, then it can't get done. And that's just the way I feel about it. So if permission, I can't open it up. And if anybody has any questions for me, there's some things I can't answer because of the investigation. But once everything gets settled, if you invite me back, then I can try to answer as much as possible and give you what I know about what happened. Okay. Any questions from me?
I know about myself.
Sure.
So my question basically just I want to kind of get you guys' feedback and opinion on enforcing more of protocols for when situations like that happen. Because I know it's very sad, it's very frightening, it's very scary for everyone involved in the situation, not just the resident involved, or the suspects involved in the situation. It was residents in that building who didn't know whether or not it was an active shooting that put all of them in danger.
Right.
How to actually go about that. So as far as that goes, is that as far as something that's in discussion as far as for the safety of everyone in these situations?
To answer your question, yes. Typically, we will do an after action debriefing. I will write up an after action and we'll talk about what we did well, what we didn't do that well, and what we can do better. And we try to leave it that way because, you know, I don't know about you, but when I watch Wheel of Fortune, I seem like I know all the answers. But when you actually get on the show, it's a little more challenging. And I know some folks that actually went on the show, and I'm embarrassed that I know them based upon how they did. But and I'm being somewhat funny, but it was tougher on the show putting under that pressure. So one of the things that we're trying to do is incorporate is more scenario-based training with our people, so that when an incident happens, it becomes muscle memory for them. I just left a Teams meeting with our resident assistants and talked to them about some of the things that we can do to work together. So there's some things I can't say, because if I say what some of the things we're going to work on, it kind of gets into the investigation. But I can tell you that when this is over, those things will be discussed with the RAs. Housing is working on it with us as well. And then I'll be honored to come back and give more detail on what we can do to try to prevent this from happening again. And one thing I can tell you is that if we follow the rules that are already in place, it helps a lot. And I'll leave it at that, that we are not following the rules that are in place. That's about as much as I can say on that piece for right now.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Virtual. It says moving forward, do you think that having a resource officer permanently in Lincoln Hall would help with this?
We are working at doing something in the future. When I come back, I will have some more discussions about that piece. But if we don't follow the rules, it doesn't matter if the resource officers were in the building in the first place. And so I'm trying to be as honor the investigation and give you hints on how important it is to follow the rules that are in place with the residential piece of our campus. But to answer your question, we are working on that. It probably won't be a resource officer, it'll probably be one of our security officers for a couple of reasons. But having them work with our RAs, that's one of the things I talk with the RAs about. There's some short-term solutions we're looking at, and then some long-term solutions we want to try to implement. We have an officer over there now. We have been doing more foot patrols in the buildings, and there's some things that we're going to work on to make sure that the folks that should be here are here.
Anyone else have any questions? All right. Well, I thank you guys for coming out. You probably know from last year. Me personally, when we get people to come to meetings, discuss with us. I do like to send letters of appreciation.
Okay.
So I won't send it this year, but I will ensure that I get someone from my student affairs committee to send both of you guys a letter of appreciation for updating us on that.
And feel free, if you got a question, if you need something, I can't promise you I have all of the answers, but what I don't know, she's supposed to know. That's our agreement. And we'll make sure that we try to help you in any way we can. So feel free to invite me anytime. And Dean Jacob, once again, thanks for reaching out to me and keeping me abreast of the schedule and the meeting. So.
And for those who don't know, currently I'm working at night. Currently I'm working at night, and some of you all may have seen me at night working. Feel free just to flag me down and talk. I take on conversations anytime. And it's our primary goal is to be here for you all. And so anytime you see me at night or you see me at work and you want to have some discussion, just stop me and let's talk. Okay? All right.
I'll say one last thing.
Go ahead.
Our Rave Guardian app, if you all don't have our Rave Guardian app, please download our Rave Guardian app. There's instructions on our website. A lot of our students do not want to be seen with me in public, but they will get on that Rave Guardian app and they will tell us everything that's going on. Because you can submit information and it tells us who you are, or you can go to the anonymous part and then we don't know. But if you all don't have the Rave Guardian, make sure you download it. And if one thing I can ask from my SGA is to help me push to all of our students, our faculty and staff to use our Rave Guardian app, because that's how we get a lot of information from students, particularly roommates that don't want to let people know they're saying something. They'll put it on that Rave app and we'll go handle it. So once again, thanks for the invite and anytime we can do, anything we can do with it.
Thank y'all. Moving on to our next speaker on teaching the parliamentary procedure. We have a previous SGA member, alumni, teacher. He's a teacher now. He's really just a great guy to me. Like, he teaches really good. He's interactive. I think you guys are going to enjoy his lesson. So I would like to welcome Nicholas Collins.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Mr. President, if it's okay, I can exit out this so I can go to where we need to get to today. Y'all bear with me. I'm not a MacBook user. I just have an iPhone, so I don't really know what I'm doing. I think that's how you minimize it. And then over here somewhere is where we go to Chrome. Found it, got it. And then let's go here. Is it touchscreen? Okay, because my computer at work is touchscreen, so that's why I asked. Because sometimes I get a little excited. Here we go. Yep, that's what we want right there. Y'all bear with me. Uh-oh. Here we go. All right, so if everyone that is in the room would take out their cellular device. Woo! And those at home can participate as well. I know that there are some individuals of you, some of you all that are watching from home. You can participate in this as well. That's the great part about technology that I love so much. You can participate at home and follow along with us. Here we go. All right, so if everyone will go to Nearpod, NEARPOD.join. Nearpod, join.nearpod. I said that backwards. So join, join.nearpod, NEARPOD, and type in this code, XSI5R. You can go to that site, join, join.nearpod.com. Joinnearpod.com, join.nearpod.com. And that is the code, XSI5R. I'll give you a moment to do that. Join.nearpod.com. Once again, that is XSI5R. All right. All right, we got it. Everybody good? All right, let's go. So today I am going to be presenting to you a session called Keeping the Peace, Parliamentary Procedure, right? And so let's get right to it. Let's not waste any time. A little bit about myself. I am a former SGA senator. I was a senator here from 2014 to 2015. I worked on the Internal Affairs Committee, and I'm not sure, Dean Jacobs could correct me if I'm wrong, have there been any more changes to the Constitution since the last time it was updated? So the last time the Constitution was updated, the current Constitution and bylaws that you all currently use was the greatest project that we had that year on the Internal Affairs Committee. And it was a very, 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 very stringent process. So we spent a lot of time revising and editing the current edition of your current updated edition of your Constitution and bylaws. I am a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. But more notably than just being a member of my fraternity, I served on the International Board of Directors while I was a student here at Clayton State University. And I am also a proud alum of this great institution, if you couldn't tell. And I did join Alpha Phi Alpha while I was here, and I am a former initiate of the Tau Epsilon chapter, okay? And so I just shared these things. These are some pictures over here. And so I've been in a lot of spaces in a lot of moments where we've had to utilize Robert's Rules of Order when we're conducting our meetings. So on your screen, you should see a space for you to answer my question. This is just a quick poll. It says, I have used and or am familiar with Robert's Rules of Order and Parliamentary Procedure. And you have two options. You can either agree or disagree with the statement. I have used and or are familiar with Robert's Rules of Order and Parliamentary Procedure. And normally if I was in class, I would hide the names, but y'all are family, so we don't have to hide, right? Wonderful. All right. Don't be ashamed. Everybody so the majority of us, looks like we have had about 50% of you all have said, a little more than 50 now, so my numbers are still moving, that you know something about Robert's Rules of Order and Parliamentary Procedure. All right? So I can roll with that, right? So what are our learning targets for today? Our learning targets for today, we have 3 goals that we want to accomplish. We want to just gain an understanding of the purpose of Robert's Rules of Order and Parliamentary Procedure. Why is it important, right? And then we want to identify the components of a well-organized meeting, right? Because we've been to a lot of meetings. Y'all are SGA senators, and I'm sure I see some familiar eyes in here because I can't see your whole face. And I know that some of you all are orientation leaders and just different capacities. So I know that you all are very involved on campus, and you've probably been to some meetings that weren't so organized, right? I'm sure you have, right? I'm a professional. I didn't tell you, I'm a school teacher. I teach high school biology and chemistry in Fulton County. And I'm an adult, and I go to some not so organized meetings. All right. The last thing that we're going to do, if we have time, is we're going to practice conducting a mock interview utilizing some of the skills that we learned today from Robert's Rules of Order. All right. So, first question I have for you all is, what is the purpose of parliamentary procedure? Right. So as you all type, your responses are going to pop up on this screen. What do you think the purpose of parliamentary procedure is? There is no right or wrong answer. Tell me what you think. Based on your knowledge and your experience with Robert's Rules of Order and Parliamentary Procedure, what is the purpose of it? We've been to a lot of meetings, we've had a lot of moments, and we just want to know, what is the purpose of all of this? Let's see. All right. So I have to keep order during the meeting, to maintain order during the meeting, to gain organization and order, to conduct meetings in the most effective way, to keep organization and respect, efficiency of meetings, stay organized, to keep order. So you all are on it. You all have the right idea, right? All of your answers are correct. Robert's Rules of Order keeps us engaged. It keeps us focused on the task at hand. To have a formal way of conducting business within an organization to ensure that there is order and organization. So everybody's saying the same thing, right? Order, organization, structure, respect. All of those things matter. All of those things are important. All of those things help us in trying to get to our common goal, and that's to get through the rest of the meeting, all right? Clear and concise records and communication. That's important because if we have so many different things going on and there's no order and organization, are we going to have good meeting minutes, right? Because if we're going to have this person talking and this person talking and that person talking and this person over here doing something else, it's going to be hard for whoever your recording secretary is to keep up with what's going on in the room, right? So we have to have some system of order and organization. So let's talk about the process. The very first step in the process is the Constitution and bylaws, right? Anybody know what the Constitution and bylaws are, or what they represent, or what they do? That's not a poll question on the screen. You got to talk back to me for that one. Say again. Okay. Everything that we do, the purpose behind it, the reason behind it, any other responses? Yes, ma'am. Guidelines. I like that word. Anybody else have something they want to share? You like that word as well? Anybody else have something they want to add to the conversation? No? All right. So we talk about our Constitution, we talk about our bylaws. A lot of the times we talk about them together, but they're two separate documents, right? So they may be compiled in the same place, right? They may be held in the same place, but they serve two different purposes. Our Constitution outlines what our organization is. Very simple. What the purpose of it is, how is it structured, right? But our bylaws gives more specificity into how we run, right? So our Constitution tells us what? Oh, we have a president, we have a vice president, we have a chair of this, we have a chair of that, right? But the bylaw says that we have meetings every first and third Tuesday of the month at 7 o'clock. We have to have this and we have to have that. When you come into the meeting, we do this, we do that, right? There's specificity in the order and how we do things or the way in which we do things. So our Constitution gives our general overview of our organization, but our bylaws tells us exactly how it is ran, right? So Constitution, less specific, more general structure of the house, right? But then we get into our bylaws. That's the rooms of the house. The Internal Affairs Committee does this. The Student Affairs Committee does this. External Affairs does this, right? The Executive Cabinet can do this. That's our Constitution, our bylaws. Our agenda. Everybody knows what an agenda is, right? You should never have a meeting without an agenda, okay? We're going to talk about some reports, right? The importance of reports. We're going to get into voting and then everybody's favorite part of the meeting, at least I know it's mine, adjournment, all right? So the agenda. An agenda should look something like this, right? This is just a mock agenda. I've been to a lot of meetings. So one of the things that you'll learn about Robert's Rules of Order and Parliamentary Procedure, and I am a school teacher, so if at any point in time I'm talking too fast, just say, hey, Nick, whoa, slow down, all right? An agenda should look something like this. We have a call to order, right? We got to call the meeting to order because that's official. We might go over our minutes from the last meeting, right? You can table them. Sometimes we do that, right? But most of the time, we're going to review what we talked about the last meeting, so we know where we're picking back up. We're going to have our committee reports. What did the committees go and do in their meetings that needs to be discussed in this meeting? Then we get into the fun stuff. We might have what we call old business, which we don't really talk about old business because it's old business, it's done. Or that might say unfinished business, because there may have been something in a previous meeting that you did not quite finish discussing, right? There was still some discussion. You all didn't get to an agreement. There was no motion made. So we still kind of had this thing lingering, or we might not have gotten to it. It might have been on the agenda, right? So we need to finish it. So you can have old business or unfinished business. And then there's new business. The things that we haven't discussed, these are things that are brand new to this meeting that we need to vote on, that we need to decide on, that we need to have a conversation about, right? We always give your advisor a space to give their the things that they need to give you all, right? And then we have adjournment, okay? So this is just a sample agenda, but every meeting should have a what? An agenda, because if you don't have an agenda, you don't have a roadmap or a guide to take you through your meeting. And so then we're just all over the place. And who wants to be in a meeting all over the place? Because how many of y'all like y'all time wasted? You can raise your hand, I promise. I won't be upset. Oh, nobody likes their time wasted. Because I tell people time is money. I can get money back, but I can't get time back, okay? Reports. Reports have to be like the CIA. They have to be complete, because there's nothing worse than an incomplete report. They have to be informative. The information has to be there. And then there's always some action that is needed after that report, right? Because what did you have a meeting for, internal affairs, if we didn't come back to the next meeting to say, okay, we need to do X, Y, and Z, right? And now, sometimes that action is just a matter of saying, hey, I'm just submitting this for informational purposes, right? But a lot of the times, because we're SGA, we are supporting our student body in these different ways. So most of the time, we are going to have some action items. Those are the things that we bring back to the meeting to vote on. So complete reports mean all the details have to be there. In your committee meetings, that's where you map out and work out all the kinks and the specificity, right? That's where all the details about what date and what time, and do we want blue cups or do we want orange cups? Or do we want a silk tablecloth or do we want a satin tablecloth? Do we want to go on a long table or do we want a round table, right? Those are details that have to be hashed out in your committee meetings, because if you're bringing those small nitty-gritty details to the main meeting or the general session, guess what we're doing? Wasting time. Thank you, Genesis. We're wasting time. You don't do committee work in your general session because what you're now doing is taking a meeting that was supposed to be an hour, where the SGA meeting was supposed to end at 8, now it ended at 8:45, 9 o'clock. I got homework. I got a test tomorrow. I'm aggravated. I'm hungry. I ain't ate nothing all day, right? We're wasting time. So you have to do those things because if the committee does their job, all they're doing is saying, hey, this is what we discussed. We want orange tablecloths. We want this on this table, that on that table. We're going to use the round tablecloths. We're going to do this. And then we make a motion, right? To vote to accept what that committee has brought to the table. If we need to vote on whether or not we're going to spend the money that this committee said we need to use for this event, then that's what we're voting on. That's what we're discussing. That's what we're going to spend our time talking about. And then if we have to make amendments or adjustments to what the committee has done, then that will be the appropriate time to do that. All right? Any questions about reports? All right. Never do committee work in the general session. Making motions. This is probably my favorite part of the meeting because this is where the fun stuff happens, right? So the two types of motions we're going to talk about today are main motions and subsidiary motions. So I'm a science teacher. I teach biology, so I deal with prefixes a lot. Sub. Anybody know what the prefix sub means? Under or below something, right? So we have a main motion, and then there may be a time where we need to say, we need to add a motion, a subsidiary motion, to make some type of amendment to the main motion. So the language of the main motion is always I move. It's always what? I move. Never I make a motion. I motion that we, or I believe that we should, and I think I move. Because we're trying to move something, right? That's why it's called a motion. We're trying to get something pushed out. We're trying to vote on something. I move that SGA has hot chocolate with Heinz on October 15th at 7 o'clock p.m. in Laker Hall. And so now the motion is on the floor. Now that there's a motion on the floor, there has to be a what? Second. And you just need 1 second. You don't need a third, a fourth, a fifth, or a sixth. You just need 1 second, right? So we just need 1 second. So second. Then your presiding officer will say something along the lines of, it has been moved and properly seconded that we host Hot Chocolate with Dr. Hines on October the 15th at 7 p.m. in Laker Hall, right? And then we're going to do this thing. We call it calling for the question, right? Somebody said, are you ready for the question? Or somebody might call for the question. And that just means that, hey, we're getting ready to move this forward and we're getting ready to vote. And so your president might ask, is there any discussion, right? Does any discussion need to take place? Because the motion has been moved and it's been seconded. So is there any discussion? If there is discussion, that's the time where we have to hash those things out, right? Then we call for the question. All those voting in the affirmative, raise your right hand. All those opposed, raise your left hand. And we keep it pushing. A lot of times, I know people like to use the aye and nay. But in spaces like this, you can do that. But sometimes that's not going to work. When would a voice vote not work? A lot of people, right? Because you really, well, you probably could hear it like, oh, no. But that probably wouldn't be the best time to do a voice vote. Say it again. You need to see them. When would a voice vote become problematic? So when people talking at one time. Say that again. Not fair. We can use a voice vote, right? Dean Jacobs.
When the group is split.
Because
Between yes and no.
if it's like, hey, and then, hey, what was the difference between my tone? You couldn't really tell, could you? So there's some times where we need to do old-fashioned, all those voting in the affirmative, all of those opposed, and we need to count because we need to see that this is going to be a 13-14 vote. Or we need to see that it's going to be a 13-13 vote and the president is going to do what? Split the tie, right? So those are when those things come in handy. But say we made a motion, I moved that we have hot chocolate with Heinz on October the 15th at 7 p.m. at Laker Hall. And we now have to have an amendment to this motion. That's when a subsidiary motion can come into play because now we can have some discussion that says, well, in our discussion, we learned that, well, Laker Hall has something going on. So we can't go over there, right? Probably too soon to say that, Josh. It's okay. We'll get past it, right? Laker Hall has something going on. There's an event going on in the building. There's something happening in the building. There's no parking over there in the building. and we need to say, we need to move this event to the SAC, or we need to move this event to the University Center. Well, there's a motion on the floor, so what do we do? Say it again. There's already one motion on the floor, so how do we amend the main motion? Say it again. No, we already seconded it. We already moved, we already seconded it. We have an issue, we can't go to Laker Hall. How do we fix or amend the main motion? So that's the job of the presiding officer when we're getting ready to after it's been seconded, the presiding officer says it has been moved and properly seconded that we blah 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 blah, right? Is there any discussion? We have discussion. Laker Hall's out the window because we can't go there, right? We have a problem. We discovered something that we didn't know before. Now we need another motion. We have another type of motion on the floor, right? We can use a what? A subsidiary motion to say, I move that we move hot chocolate with Heinz to the Student Activity Center. Then we need a what? A second. It has been moved and properly seconded that we move hot chocolate that hot chocolate with Dr. Heinz is hosted in the Student Activity Center. Is there any discussion? Everybody's good. So now I can, as a presiding officer, say, all those voting in the affirmative, or all those that agree, all those that vote yes, or however we're going, whatever the language is we're going to use in SGA. Raise your right hand. All those opposed, raise your left hand. I do my tally, and we're good to go, right? Hot chocolate with Dr. Heinz is moving to the SAC, right? Yes or no? We agree. If you say yes, raise your hand. If you say no, raise your hand. If you don't know, raise both of them. Just I don't know. I don't know, Nicholas. The answer is no. Because what did we just vote on? Which was which motion? We voted on the subsidiary motion, but did we make a decision on the main motion? All we voted on in the subsidiary motion was to change the language of the main motion from Laker Hall to the Student Activity Center. So now we have to go back and vote on the main motion. We see that, right? So we make a subsidiary motion. It's subsidiary. It's below. We dealt with that. Now we have to go back to the top. Does that make sense? Are there any questions about motions? Yes.
I already said I moved.
That's a good question. Dean Jacobs, what do you have for that?
I would say that if you're going to main motion already on the floor, say I move to amend the motion that Laker Hall then be moved.
So that we can have that clear understanding that we are making the amendment to the original motion. So I yielded to Dean Jacobs because I want to keep the language that you all use in SGA consistent, right? All right. Are there any other questions? All right. So I want to just say this, just throw this out there, right? There are no experts in the room that I know of, and Dean Jacobs might be one. He's been doing this a long time, right? On parliamentary procedure. This is something that you gain as you practice and you go along, right? Unless you are a trained parliamentarian, you probably won't be an expert on parliamentary procedure. And even the most trained parliamentarian, there's probably somebody out there that's more trained than they are. Got it? So we're not here to become experts. We're just here to learn how to utilize some of these tools, okay? So I don't want you all to be overwhelmed to think that you got to know all this today. All right, so a quorum. Anybody know what a quorum is? Somebody I haven't heard from. Harvey, what's a quorum? No idea. All right, you sound like one of my students. I'll take it. Just say it, and we'll go back and clean it up. Perfect, right? I don't know what it is for you, right? But your Constitution and bylaws tells you what a quorum is, right? It tells you that there's a specific number or percentage of your population, of your body, that has to be present in order for you to conduct official business. So you can still have a meeting, but you can't vote. So it's the minimum number of individuals that need to be present in order to conduct official business. We got that? So if you don't have a quorum, Some might say, well, there's really no point in having a meeting because we can't vote on anything, right? But you can still talk about things. You can still have a meeting. Nothing will be official, though. Nothing can be voted on. We can't conduct official business because we don't have a quorum. When is a member of the body allowed to speak? Yes. Absolutely. When you are acknowledged by the presiding officer, and we do know that the presiding officer is not always the president, correct? Right? So if you get up as any chairs in the room, do I have any chairs of any committees in the room? Not right now. If I was a chair of student affairs and I'm giving my report, or Mr. President turns over the meeting to me, there's only one voice in the meeting at a time. Once I mount the desk or the podium or wherever we are, I am now the presiding officer of this meeting. That means everything concerning what I'm dealing with when it comes to the Student Affairs Committee or the report, now I'm the presiding officer. I get to acknowledge and get to say, okay, yes, Senator such and such and such, or Madam Vice President, or Mr. such and such and such. I become the presiding officer. There can only be one at a time. There's only one voice in the meeting at a time. But you're only allowed to speak when you have been acknowledged by the presiding officer. Why do we think that's the case? Somebody other than Mr. President. Yes, ma'am. Can't have too many people talking at one time because that's going to lead to confusion. And then, is the secretary in the room? How would that make you feel if you had 3 people talking at one time? You're going to stop listening, and we're not going to have any minutes, right? We're just not going to have anything. All right? What's the proper way to state a motion? I move. Thank you, honey. I move. How many motions can be voted on during a meeting? Doesn't matter. But how many can be voted on at a time? 1. Y'all are awesome. All right, what kind of teacher would I be if I didn't give you a gift? Fill in the blank. Oops, sorry, I just can't put the answer on the screen. Sorry, y'all. Act like you didn't see that. Fill in the blank. Ooh, y'all are awesome. Somebody got 100. Woo, go Katrina. Look at y'all. Out here scoring 100. I guess that just means I'm a really awesome teacher, huh? No, that's not what that means, huh? Y'all are just really awesome. That's all. Fill in the blank. All right. So, we got some more people. We're gonna buzz out. All right. The minimum number of individuals that must be present in order to conduct official business or voting is called a quorum. Let's go to this next one. Which of the following is a proper statement to make for stating a motion? Like I tell my students, there are no trick questions. All right. It looks like the majority of us got it. I see you, Royal Baxter. Dr. Baxter. All right. The following proper statements to make while we're making making a motion is what, class? I move. All right. So now you all are what I call TTG, trained to govern, right? Because it's your responsibility to make sure that how we conduct business at SGA is a representation of the institution. It's a representation of the executive cabinet. It's a representation of student affairs, of Dean Jacobs, but of yourselves, right? And of the student body. What would the student body say about you if they saw you conducting a meeting, right? Because that almost goes into your ability to recruit and market. Because if you can't run a meeting, they're gonna say, "Oh, I can't be at SGA because they don't know what they're doing. They don't organize. They do too much. They be arguing and screaming at each other during the meeting. Who wants to be a part of that? Nobody. So you got to make sure that you're on top of it. So if we had enough time, I don't want to do this today, but I just want us to think about it, right? Introducing the problem. Clayton State University's executive cabinet had a meeting to discuss demolishing the athletic center because y'all kept complaining about parking on campus. So they said, you know what? We're going to tear this building down after we just put all this money into renovating it. We're going to build a parking lot, and we're gonna move the athletic center off campus. Right now, by a show of hands, how many of y'all would be in favor of this? Ooh, it's a little spicy in here. They're gonna destroy the athletic center and move it off campus. So that means homecoming off campus, right? Because the homecoming game has to be over there. That means basketball games, you got to drive somewhere else to go get to them, right? That means pep rallies off campus. We see where I'm going with this? So do we really want to get rid of the athletic center to build a parking lot for those of y'all that don't like to walk those few extra little miles? Little extra little steps. Get your steps in. Get your speedometer on, right? So if we were in a meeting, we would probably have some really good discussion on this, right? Because that's a pretty hot topic. I know. I came up with that when I was driving here. It was good. It was good. It was good. All right. So in the instance of time, what questions do you all still have about Robert's Rules of Order and Parliamentary Procedure? If you don't have a question, it's okay. I just left this up here. This is how I collect survey data to see, okay, did I do a good job? What questions do they still have that might be lingering? So this is nothing more than a survey, right? And I won't seek to answer any of these questions today, but I may be able to provide resources for you in the future. And if you want to become a trained parliamentarian, there are classes that are available to you in every major county and city in this great state of Georgia. There's parliamentarian trainings that happen everywhere. All right? Any questions, comments, or concerns? All hearts and minds clear? Meeting adjourned. No, I'm just playing. Y'all don't go anywhere. That was for me. That was for me. That's for me. All right, and you all can still type in this. It'll still come back to me. You can, Mr. President, you can just leave that up and let me log out of my Fulton County stuff so y'all can't see my children's grades. Good grades they get. All right. Thank you all so much for having me today. It feels good to be back home. I appreciate you all so much.
All right, moving on. We're going to our Vice President report. We got a couple of minutes left, so we got to knock them out real fast.
Okay, so good evening, Sir President Bell. My report is as follows. During our last general session, I stated that I would like to see more collaboration between SGA and other student organizations on campus. I attempted to do so last week with Housing and Residence Life. I spoke with Resident Director Chantel Taylor to see if SGA could collab in an upcoming event, but then I realized it was too late to propose that and vote on it. I also reached out to the Student Affairs Committee to see if one of the members could email the Housing and Residence Life Director, Maya. I told them to invite her to our general session on November 9th to see if she could present the details for their masquerade event. Then we can see if this will be an event that SGA would like to collab on. That's it. Oh.
Okay, hey guys, I'm Treasurer. Good evening, Mr. President. My report is as follows. So our budget is $1,000. So I was thinking about getting iron-on logos for our shirts so we can iron on. That will be cheaper. And this is not how the logo will look, but it'll be like similar, like it'll be like that style.
So this is when she's talking about shirt. This is one of them.
Yeah. So it is $25.98 to get 40. I think I'm not sure how many people we have in here, but if we have over 20, we will get the 40 option. Then we have shirts. So we'll get regular shirts, kind of like what Trey's wearing. It will be a different material though. It will be cotton. And for 20 shirts, it will be $115. Or we can get SGA pins. So the pin will be the shape of like an SGA. It'll kind of be like what they have on, like that little orange thing. And we had different sizes, and these are the prices for each at different sizes, and that one is about $200. So your choices are, we can get 20 shirts, 20 logos. That will cost $140. But the con of that is I'm not sure how iron-on logos will stay. I'm not sure if that's gonna stay in the washing machine. I'm not sure how that will work. But the pro is it is the cheapest option. Or we can get 20 shirts, 50 pins, and 20 logos. That will cost us $370. That will leave our budget at $660. Or we can get customized shirts that already have the logos. The pros of that is you can wash the shirt as many times as you want, but it is more expensive, and that will leave us with $400 at the end. So, you guys can choose. What do you guys think about that? Genesis?
I feel like the iron logo would be a better option. And as far as like them wearing, you can turn the shirt inside out when you wash it.
Okay. Cool. That's it.
Just so that they can see too here. Can you see my shirt?
Because I know it's a certain type of vinyl that you use that won't tear off. So what company, like that company is gonna apply it?
No, we would have to apply it ourselves.
Okay, so it's a certain type of vinyl that you use.
Mhm. Okay, cool. Or would you guys like the idea of getting it sewn on? Like we can get the logos and someone could sew it on because sewing is pretty easy. Do you guys like the idea? Do you guys like the shirts, the blue regular shirts, and getting the logo? So you don't want the pins, or do you guys want the both option? That will leave our budget at $660. And how do you guys feel? Okay. What about you?
Ethnically right now it's around 20 of those. So that is a number to keep in mind when also letting us know the decision on whether or not you guys like it. For those who are on the virtual call, like I told you guys about some of the struggles that we did have with getting you guys added on. But we still have the floor open for you guys. You guys can group me like you've been doing for questions and comments, or the floor is still open. This isn't a final set decision because, of course, we have to vote on these. But the floor is open for all opinions. How much? So for 20 shirts and 20 logos, that would cost us $140. For 20 shirts, 50 pins, 20 logos, that's $340. And for customized shirts that she was saying, again, would kind of look very similar to this one. Also be easier to wash. She said that the price would be $600 for those.
Yeah, fine. Yeah. Do you want to run it?
So
What are the people saying?
So what I will say is,
Is the customized shirt like I was just saying this like
I'm not actually sure with this. When I put it in, I just put a logo on the side of the shirt, and that's just the price it gave me.
yeah, it's
Okay. Can you send that information to group me?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have any suggestions? I know you said you had one. You can just drop it and get me too. Sure. Anyone else?
So would you guys like to vote today on this, or would you like to wait until I get more information about the person she said and the other ideas that you guys had? Like with the machine thing you're talking about. You guys rather wait till the next meeting? Okay. That's all I
All
have for
right.
today.
Moving on within the agenda, got a couple of minutes left, really quick. I would ask you guys to do a committee report, but for the sake of time, I will ask you guys to just go ahead and save it for next week. For next week's meeting. So if it's just extend your report a little bit, I don't mind. A report doesn't have to be long, but it doesn't have to be always short. So, yeah, the next 2 weeks. I'm sorry. What's that?
Oh, I have a question. When it comes to school, it's about the game. Will we still be meeting? I'm okay with meeting. So we don't need
So that's a good question. I'm glad that you actually asked that. So what we actually been deciding, we have one more meeting after this meeting, that we officially have reserved the room for and put on the calendar for events. However, we are open to doing at least a check-in with maybe just the senators, or even hosting a completely virtual meeting, for December, or another meeting, along in November. That is just for you guys to let us know. I will say we did have to. That's something I did want to discuss today a little bit as well. But I'll make sure to mention it next meeting. That way we can actually have it confirmed and have the room reserved fast enough to do so. Well, not room, but we can get everything out already. So new business. I discussed the SVAL. That's all I kind of had to really discuss there. Business. I want you guys to be on the lookout for us to send a quatrace link of the attendance policy. That's the contract that will go in effect. Rather than doing it in person, we decided to do it electronically. So be on the lookout for an email from me. I'll be sure to set the importance on high, everything like that, so you guys will know. So normally for our meetings, we do have open floor discussions, senator to student to senator talks. That's when we have students inside our meetings, that's here to speak to us. This is their time to speak to us. But
So, yeah, everybody's actually invited to it's welcome to any.
honestly,
Please, senators.
Okay, yeah, so, but they can be included, because I know, in the past, we had students inside of marketing, give it off to opinions and stuff.
it's
The
all.
rest is interesting.
If you want students to do that, you have to contact them.
Yeah. So.
They can come and speak, or they can speak.
Yeah, so if you guys have anyone that you would like to personally invite to meetings, I know in the past, I believe we did a competition for how many people can get someone to come to a meeting that got a gift from the e-board members. So if you guys want to do something like that, just to give you guys, maybe some reports, some ideas on where to go with your reports, we can also look into doing that. Dean Jacobs, do you have anything? All right, Dean Jacobs, for anyone who didn't hear, said that he was going to wait for next time. And that's all I have for today. I apologize for the 2 minutes, but I do appreciate you guys. This was a good meeting, very interactive. Anybody want to share some highs and lows recently? Even those that's on GroupMe, if you have any high lows that you want to share, maybe. I'll do one. A high, I would say, is we got through the meeting. I'm very confident in you guys. I think Nick did a good job giving you all a lesson as far as how to conduct the meeting. So really next meeting, I'll try to get used to full on going through a meeting the right way, just so we can pick up on learning it even better. A low I would say is, I don't know, I've been working for like the past week or two. I'm tired of working and I have to wake up before 6. Well, yeah, before 6 o'clock just to get there. So I'm tired of doing that because I get off at 2, so 6. Listen, every day for the past week. So, if no one else has anything else to say, is there a motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting?
I move. I second.
What you move?
I move to adjourn the meeting. I second.
All in favor? Yay.
Yeah.
That sounds like everybody. So, all right, this meeting is now been adjourned.